Welcome everyone. To our partners at Bapanas, the village governments, researchers from Bren and BRM, universities, industry partners, and frankly all of our strategic allies, welcome to this explainer. Today we're unpacking a master plan that tackles an absolutely critical issue of national security, and that is Indonesia's food supply. We're going to look at how bridging agroforestry, advanced genetics, and digital modeling is going to secure our agricultural future. And we aren't just talking about abstract concepts here. We're going to look specifically at how these eco-friendly innovations can be rolled out in some of our toughest environments, like the dry, karst landscapes of Gunung Kidul in Yogyakarta. So let's dive right in.
First things first, we have to acknowledge the stakes here, because they are incredibly high. Right now, our national reliance on imported rice is a massive, massive vulnerability. The standard levers we usually pull to increase domestic production, well, they're pretty much exhausted at this point. But there is a clear path forward, and we call it the digital canopy. It's an ambitious, cross-disciplinary solution that totally reimagines where and how we grow our staple crop, basically turning marginal, tough lands into highly productive, resilient ecosystems.
So here's our roadmap for the explainer. 1. The national rice production crisis. 2. The dead end of current methods. 3. Agroforestry as an eco-friendly solution. 4. Closing the dual innovation gap. 5. Digital experimentation and modeling. And 6. Unified cross-institutional collaboration. All right, let's jump straight into part 1, the national rice production crisis.
Looking out across the Indonesian archipelago, we are frankly caught in a perfect storm right now. On one side, our traditional rice-growing regions are rapidly shrinking. They're losing ground to urbanization and getting edged out by higher-income cash crops. And then on the flip side, we are facing severe, escalating climate threats. Things like wild weather variability, prolonged droughts, extreme heat waves, and haze. Think about regions like Gunung Kidul for a second. The karst landscape there means water just drains away instantly, and the dry season can be absolutely brutal. When you look at that, you see exactly how vulnerable our current food systems are to these climate shifts. We literally cannot just plant more rice the old-fashioned way. The fertile, irrigated land just isn't there anymore.
Which brings us to part 2, the dead end of current methods.
Look, our options right now are pretty stark. Irrigated rice. Sure, it gives us high yields, but as we just covered, the available land for it is shrinking fast, and it produces really high methane emissions. Then you have traditional rain-fed rice, which is what so many of our dry regions rely on. But that suffers from low yields and is highly vulnerable to drought. Honestly, both of those paths are dead ends. But then we have agroforestry. This is a true eco-friendly paradigm shift. It optimizes yields, it unlocks vast new frontiers of land we previously couldn't use, it provides incredible resilience by buffering extreme temperatures, and on top of all that, it actually boosts local biodiversity.
Let's look closer at that in part 3, agroforestry as an eco-friendly solution.
So, what does this actually look like on the ground? Picture this. You're intercropping rain-fed rice directly alongside timber trees like teak, or maybe integrating it right into palm plantations. Think about Gunung Kidul again. It's already incredibly famous for its vast teak forests, right? Imagine cultivating high-yielding rice directly beneath those existing canopies. The trees naturally buffer the extreme temperatures, they lock in the soil moisture, and they protect the rice from harsh weather. And as a huge bonus, it simultaneously gives farmers multiple streams of income. It's a total win-win.
Now, part 4, closing the dual innovation gap. You might be wondering, if this is so great, why aren't we doing it everywhere already? Well, we're currently facing a massive dual innovation gap that's holding us back. First up, we have a system data deficit. We just don't have the holistic scientific knowledge on how rain-fed rice actually performs when it has to compete for water and light with specific fruit and timber crops. It's a complex system. Second, and this is perhaps the more critical roadblock, we have a genetics deficit. Right now, there are absolutely zero dedicated breeding programs for rice specifically adapted to the unique, shady microclimates of an intercropping system. We are essentially taking rice that was explicitly bred for open, sunny, flooded fields and trying to force it to grow in shaded, dry forests. It's just not going to work optimally until we close both of these gaps.
And that leads us to part 5, digital experimentation and modeling.
This is where the project gets incredibly high-tech and honestly really cool. We're proposing setting up extremely precise experimental plots to test different plant combinations. But to truly understand the dynamics, we're bringing in advanced envirotyping and phenotyping. By placing a T-LiDAR scanner directly in the field, we use laser technology to create a complete 3D reconstruction of the canopy. This allows us to perfectly map exactly how light, water, and nutrients are being distributed, and we can pinpoint exactly where the resource competition is happening in real time.
And the data collection doesn't stop there. We're going to deploy networks of solar-powered sensors all throughout these fields to capture continuous microclimate data. We take all that real-world environmental data and feed it into our computers to create digital twins, basically virtual simulations of our agroforestry plots. By running these in silico studies, we can model thousands and thousands of different scenarios to find the absolute perfect planting densities and system designs, all without having to wait years and years for trees to grow in the physical world.
But while we're modeling the environment, we also have to fix the genetics, remember? So we'll undergo this meticulous process of phenotyping diverse rain-fed rice germplasms sourced from our global partners. We are hunting for very specific traits here. Yes, they need to be high-yielding, but critically, they must be shade-tolerant, and they need a short crop cycle so they can truly thrive under those tree canopies. We are essentially custom breeding the rice of the future, built specifically for our agroforestry systems.
Finally, Part 6. Unified cross-institutional collaboration.
To pull something like this off, we need a true ecosystem of collaboration. We already have an incredible academic foundation built with the University of Brawijaya, alongside international partners like IRI and CIAT. But to actually implement this eco-friendly project on the ground in places like Gunung Kidul, we are building a massive, much wider alliance. This means partnering directly with local village governments because their local land knowledge is absolutely vital. It means scaling up our science with national research powerhouses like BRIN, executing our strategies alongside the Ministry of Agriculture's BRMP, and ensuring we have strategic alignment across ministries with BAPANAS. We're also bringing in private industry partners. It's a huge undertaking, and it requires literally everyone pulling together in the same direction.
So, where do we go from here? Let's talk next steps to make this a reality. We have the science roadmap, but now we need the logistical and financial framework to back it up. We're currently writing the concept notes and defining specific working packages across agronomy, modeling, and ecology. But most importantly, we need that continuous strategic alignment with BAPANAS. We also heavily rely on private industry partners stepping up. We need them to provide the actual land for these large-scale experimental plots and the funding required to sustain this critical research over the next several years.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. The science is ready. The technology is here, right now. And the need, whether you're looking at our national import statistics or just looking at the dry, vulnerable fields of Gunung Kidul, is undeniably urgent. We have the exact blueprint needed to design the future of rain-fed rice and secure Indonesia's food supply in a way that is totally sustainable and eco-friendly. So, the only question left to ask is, who is in? What motivates you to join this national mission? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I genuinely look forward to the incredible work we are all going to do together.